Displacement, genocide, and climate crimes. Is that a laundry list or a web of connected crises? Our next guest has been helping people's movements make the links for decades now. He's Eric Mann of the Labor Community Strategy Center right here in Los Angeles. How did you get started?
Well, I come out of a Jewish socialist.
What I found is Eric Mann.
I've been organizing with the Congress of Racial Equality, Students for Democratic Society, worked with the Black Panther Party, was in SDS, was a weatherman, went to prison for political issues.
When you look into Eric Mann, you look at what he believes and what he wants.
Free the U.S. 2 million prisoners, 100,000 less police, free, safe, and legal abortion with public support and financing, and minors having the right to abortion without parental consent. Reparations for the transatlantic slave trade, unconditional amnesty and option of citizenship for 12 million immigrants, end the war on drugs, the war on crime, the war on gangs, and the war on terror. After you put these ideas...
Of course. Stop trying to, get rid of anything that hurts our communities and our nation. Let's just allow drugs willy-nilly and crime and, just murder and everything. Let's just not try to stop any of it. Does that sound like somebody who actually cares about the people in a nation or a community?
Ideas out. You got to train organizers, and we have been able to recruit young Black and Latino kids.
My name is Patrice.
Notice who he's targeting for recruitment.
I am the co-founder of Black Lives Matter. I'm also the executive director of the Black Lives Matter Global Network.
She came out of the bus riders union. She's grown up in South LA. Patrice wants the stage. In some way wants to occupy it.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
Again, if you really think she cared about freedom or the Black community or anything like that, go check out Candace Owens' documentary, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. I cannot recommend that highly enough. It is an amazing documentary, so well done. Keeps you on the edge of your seat, and she's got receipts. This woman did not give a damn about anybody but herself. And, she cared about one community, but it's not the Black community. She cared about the LGBTQ community, which is fine, but don't get out here saying that you're all about the Black community and you don't care. That's not at all what it was about. Spoiler alert. All that money that was raised for BLM, she bought mansions, and only donations we can find that went to anything was to the LGBTQ and trans organizations. Oh, and into these little satellite, I guess you could call them BLM offices. They were actually just places that would actually train and hire professional activists to go and tear up our communities.
It is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to win.
You work with each person to say, you need to lead. I only have an army of generals.
I do believe in Marxism. It's a philosophy that I learned really early on in my organizing career.
Her own words.
We were taught to learn about the systems that were criticizing capitalism.
Whenever Patrice Cullors said we're trained Marxists, she was telling the truth. She's a trained Marxist. And Eric Mann is the man who trained her.
He's the puppet master. He's the one with his hand up her butt.
I spend my time right now organizing mainly young people that want to be revolutionaries. Young, primarily women, Black, Latina, Asian.
It's essentially based on guerrilla warfare principles, which is you're up against a far more powerful enemy, and you have a very small little army.
Does that look like people who care about their communities, about any communities? If you cared about your community and making it better, you wouldn't be destroying it. This is just common sense. I know that's not very common anymore, or at all, but...
Trying to figure out what this little army that maybe at best is like a flea bite. You know, how do you kill an elephant with flea bites?
We start with the intersection of the Black and Latino community as a strategic alliance that's central to building a broader multiracial left.
This is the father of Black Lives Matter.
Of the Black trans women who have been murdered.
To the extent that Black people are involved, these are useful idiots. These are people who are fronts to carry out the agenda of white Marxists.
If we don't have a base in the Black and Latino community, we can't branch out. You got to have a strategy, and that's at least my strategy. We don't believe that majority white organizations can be transformative organizations.
Black Lives Matter? It's a white-run organization. It's a white movement. And it's all about destroying America and using people of color in the process.
And so it is.
And why? Because people of color are the ones that these people that are behind all this deem as the most throwawayable. Yes, I said that. I made that up.
With but minor variations in one country after another. Divide the people. Get them fighting among themselves rather than their common enemy. For well do they know that the nation so divided and weakened can be easily conquered from within.
This entire block has
create the appearance of popular support
George Floyd
through a favorable press and the use of terror, intimidation, and the creation of martyrs. Make the world believe the revolution is a popular one, particularly among those being liberated. Neutralize the opposition. When obstructionists to the cause become too irritating, label them as fascist, Nazi, anti-Semitic, extremist, racist, controversial. Precipitate mob violence.
Hey, look at that.
Get
A
the
whole group
mobs
of
into
people
the
beating up an
streets.
old man.
March and demonstrate. As the demonstrations grow in number and intensity, they will acquire political character through the desired collision and open combat with the forces of law and order.
I've never understood how anybody sat there and saw any of this. Even if it was played down in the news, how could you see any of this footage and think this was good people trying to do a good thing? How could you ever be that ignorant?
We're watching young people.
But the cops and the people on the, quote, other side are the violent ones? Who's doing the agitation here? Who's getting in whose face? Who's screaming in whose face? Saying all kinds of horrible things to them. But that's the bad guys? And that's the good guys? Really?
Being informed by people who are leveraging their emotion.
They don't realize that they'll be drawn into a very radical movement where their lives will be taken over.
When I came to the organization, when I was organized into the organization, I was 17 and a half. I was really angry and I didn't have a direction. I just was spewing anger. I was angry at.
Anytime you want to start a movement or you want to brainwash the people, you have to deal with those who are angry. Then the communist movement can come in and pretend to be a friend to use you.
1968. The wheels were coming off the wagons. Dr. King was assassinated. We became white race conscious.
Now they after the white people, they gonna congregate. They gonna caravan out in Inglewood, Glen Delray, and everywhere else the white man is gonna stay. They gonna do the white man in tonight, and I'm gonna wait now.
We went from being the nice Catholic kid to the angry black kid. I was angry about things that happened in the past. I was angry about things that were gonna happen in the future. If you said good morning to me, I was angry. If you didn't say good morning, I was angry.
If you can't say it, Clarence Thomas. That's Clarence Thomas. and they're going to get around to this. If you're having a lot of emotions, struggling with emotions, especially anger or depression or hopelessness, things like that, first of all, talk to somebody. But as trite as it sounds, even if you don't want to go to a church, open your Bible. Like, seriously. Or, you know what? I'm going to give a shout out here, and I'm going to be react to this. The show The Chosen. You can get it, watch it for free. All the episodes for free. Stream them for free. Everything on the Angel app or the Chosen app. And those apps are free also. I do suggest, or ask that if you can, if you do this, and the show, whether you're religious, it doesn't even matter. You don't have to be religious. I had gotten so far away from my faith and everything, and the show is so well done. It's so well done. And it's not preachy. It's not anything. I mean, the way they portray Jesus is just like I've always imagined he would have been. Just humble and down to earth and real, just like a real person, a real everyday person, with emotions and a sense of humor, a great sense of humor. And the show is so enjoyable, and I'm completely obsessed with it. And I think more people need to see it. But I would say talk to somebody like that, or get into something like that, or read about whatever, because those feelings, that's not our natural state to be and residing completely and dwelling completely in negative feelings like that. Our natural state is pure love. That's our heart's natural state. And if you're not there, it's because your heart is not synced up with what how your soul sees life and your situation. You have to sync those two up, and everything starts making sense and feeling so much better. I really want everybody to be happy.
People exploited
Truly.
that. I remember going to Harvard Square. All night we were rioting. And I got back home. And I couldn't explain to myself why I just did that.
You will be used. You will be taken advantage of.
I have to pause this because it doesn't look like you're seeing it very well. Okay, see, hopefully that's better.
Because you cannot see what you're getting into. You can't see.
The first conscious act in organizing our people is to let them know who they are. If you think you're an American, you will fight to protect the interests of capitalist America. If you know you ain't no American, you'll fight to destroy.
First of all, if you're buying chains and rims and cell phones and TVs and, label, designer clothes, Gucci and all that crap, you cannot say shit about capitalism. You're living it. You're loving it. You're supporting it. So.
Every aspect of American capitalism.
All of us come from somewhere. All of us have origin stories. Why do I, as a black man, have this nice, wholesome German name? It's because of slavery. It's important for me to know that story. But it's also important for me to recognize that as an American, I have another origin story. And that origin story is not 1619. It's 1776. Because that's America's origin story. And I am an American. And that origin story is filled with suffering and struggle and bloodshed and overcoming adversity. an Irish person whose family survived the Irish potato famine and then came to America. It's part of our origin story as America. My Jewish brother whose family survived the Holocaust and then came to the United States. You could go on and on and on. And what you eventually realize is that God, in his providence, has brought us all from hardship.
Divine providence was clearly operating in the lives of Black Americans.
And if you're triggered by that, you're not paying attention to what they're meaning, because everybody and every bloodline, every nationality, every culture had severe struggles and strifes and devastations and brutality that they suffered, and oppression and everything somewhere along the line. It's just the way this world has been. Good or bad, it is what it is. But you can come out, you can find some blessings in that and come out on the other side of it stronger for it. We used to know that.
Yes, slavery was horrible.
Look at that.
But out of slavery came Black America. If you look at the accomplishments of Blacks throughout history,
wow,
that would not have happened had they not come to America.
That dude flew. I mean, that was legal flight. Legal flight. I'm pretty sure it has to be.
We are blessed.
It is a great satisfaction to have connected with a race of men and women who are able to do something that enhances the comforts and conveniences of life. As you go on, increasing your ability to do things of value, you will find that the problem, which often nowadays looks more and more difficult of solution, will gradually become easier.
Booker T. Washington was my hero. When I was in high school, they used to take us over to Tuskegee. Every summer, we would spend a week over there, staying in the dorm and learning about Booker T. Washington.
Don't believe any of the BS that the media is trying to push these days, and colleges are trying to push these days about Booker T. Washington not being the great man that he was, and who truly was in it to help his people and help them make something out of the horrible nothing that it started out as. And he was helping them do it.
A lot of Black people don't understand what he was all about.
When he came to Alabama, when he came to Tuskegee, he pushed work, industry, and the books. He didn't have pity on these former slaves.
We must recognize the fact that our capacity is very largely different from that of the people of the white race. I know we like to say the opposite. It sounds well in compositions, does well in rhetoric, and makes a splendid essay. But to say that we are equal to whites is to say that slavery was no disadvantage to us. This is all we can say of ourselves. With proper development, our condition and capacity will be the same as those of the people of any other race.
He was influencing people to take advantage of their own lives.
And
do the best with what they had.
Getting out there and working hard and earning things on your own.
Be an entrepreneur. Start your own business. Build your community.
We need to look to ourselves. We need to transform from within.
He urged black people to set your bucket where you are and make your success right there where you are.
Cast down your bucket where you are. A third and fourth speaker. For Walker was that. Cast down your bucket where you are.
I just want to point out how amazing it is that, okay, Booker T. Washington, he was a slave. He came out of that, you know, he actually lived the life as a slave until the emancipation. How amazing is it that we actually have recordings of him giving speeches from that long ago? Like, how cool is that? Here's your capitalism.
It is said that necessity is the mother of invention. The need to have goods and products available to us in our community, entrepreneurs came up. Black stores, black doctors and dentists and other professionals established their business. Influenced by a Judeo-Christian ethic that says if you don't work, you don't eat. A Judeo-Christian ethic that talked about the father to be the provider and to take care of the family. Innovation and creativity produced the kind of responsiveness that we see take place. Texas, Georgia, Atlanta was bustling. Oklahoma.
Yeah, so whenever they talk about how, you know, black people have never had any kind of wealth or anything that they were, I mean, like, media wants you to believe now that it's always been just living in the most horrible, impoverished conditions and stuff, and that's not true. It is simply not true. Black people they were building their own generational wealth. They had it. And they're going to get into all this, but I'm just saying, because I believed all that BS too, you know?
No one ever loses anything by being a gentleman or a lady.
Amen.
No person ever lost anything by being broad. Remember that if we are kind and useful, if we are moral, no matter what people say about us, they cannot pull us down. But on the other hand, if we are without the spirit of usefulness, if we are without morality, without economy and property, without all those qualities which go to make a people and a nation great and strong, no matter what we say about ourselves, we are losing ground.
It's all of us.
Nobody can give us these qualities merely by praising us and talking well about us. And when we possess them, nobody can take them from us by speaking ill of us.
Facts.
When you look at these pictures, you get a sense of what black life was like in an era where we're told that black people were unhappy.
Some of them look pretty prosperous.
Richard Samuel Roberts, he captured almost 2 decades of black life in the South.
Look at this.
During a time
South.
when today we're told
Right out of
black
slavery.
people could not mobilize upward. And in these photos, it tells a true story.
And they did it so fast. These people had so much pride and joy. It was, oh, I love these pictures. It's beautiful.
After slavery ended, there were a lot of very successful black people. They abounded in a lot of different places.
I grew up down in Alabama. When I was growing up, we were not raised to hate. We were never taught that America was bad and that we were not Americans. We were raised to love America. We were taught about slavery, but not in a way where it made you hate. My family and other black people around me were working, their own land. Those that wanted to go to college went to college, or they started their own business.
My father was born in 1915 in the Jim Crow South.
Comment below if you even knew that people were like, that they had it like this, that they were doing this well. And I mean, because I know I wasn't taught that. I never knew this ever happened. And it's just amazing. They did it so fast. They worked hard. They did it so fast. And for their legacy of how hard they worked and everything they did to build this, and for somewhere along the line, and these people and the media today and all this crap with these agendas to have robbed people in these communities from this knowledge, from this hope, from knowing this pride. It's absolutely disgusting and horrible what they're doing today and what they're teaching them, and just ingraining them people so deeply that no, you've never had anything, you never can have anything, you're just oppressed and you're going to stay that way. That is the worst, most poisonous thing that you can tell people and teach people. They have a legacy to be proud of. They do. And I really hope that they learn this and know this and find it.
Athens, Georgia. My father always taught my brothers and me that the door is wide open. I never felt like I was a victim. I never even felt we were poor. I remember thinking my father was rich. I remember asking my father for a quarter. He went in his pocket and gave it to me. I thought my dad was rich. My dad...
That's Larry Elder.
Was a janitor.
Elder did not come to his politics by accident. His father, Randolph, was dirt poor with little education. He went to night school, held down 2 jobs, and raised a family.
He was a janitor until I was 10 years old. Then he started a little small business, a cafe not too far from downtown LA. And my father was always about working hard and not making excuses.
Larry says, look, if you just forget the issue of racism, just put your head down, study hard, work hard, you're going to be all right in the end. You think that's true?
It worked for me. It worked for me. That was Black America, but it's an America that we don't learn about, specifically because whenever you have something to be proud of, people have less of a chance of controlling you.
People walking around talking about make America great again. Give me the date that America was great for everybody. It wasn't great for blacks when we were enslaved and then had to fight Jim Crow and then fight for the right to vote.
Get mad if you want, but that is a piece of shit. He is a horrible, despicable human being who only cares about making money off of perpetuating these horrible lies. And he profits off of the pain of the Black community. That's all he cares about. Make no mistake about that.
It has now gotten to the point where it is impossible for me to believe Black leaders in the Black struggle in America. I see the lies and the manipulation from the media, Black leaders, the dumb, ignorant, cowardice, brain dead people who are ruining our country on a false narrative. I'm willing to deny 90% of what people are saying.
I imagine the slaves.
Here's why.
Thought, thank God we're gonna all be one.
The first legal slave owner was...
I'm going to pause this to stop this right here and cut this video so doesn't take so long to upload. But don't worry, I'm gonna immediately start back on it and get that one uploaded right after.